You're listening to Chicago Stories, a podcast from City Hall featuring the stories of everyday Chicagoans, as told to Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
I'm Mayor Rahm Emanuel from Chicago Stories. We're joined by Alpana Singh, the founder of Boarding House and Seven Lions. And before we go forward, we got breaking news. Semifinalist for Outstanding Wine List at the Boarding House.
Yes, it's very exciting. So it's a recognition that's given to a restaurant that has promoted the service of wine and it has been open for a minimum of 5 years. Mm-hmm. And so the last time I received a nod was when I was 24. At Everest.
That was just like 2 days ago.
Thank you. You're very sweet. Yeah. So this is very exciting. This is very exciting.
What was the recognition at Everest?
It was for outstanding wine service. Same thing. So this is the first time since I was 24, which was when I first moved to Chicago.
Just 2 days ago.
More like 17, but who's counting?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
So how long is that list when we get down?
It'll be another month. So
do
March
we get a
15th.
Tasting?
Sure, yes, whatever it takes, yes.
What brought you to Chicago? And then how did you get into being a sommelier?
So actually, when I moved to Chicago because it was the only place I could find a job. I was 23 years old, and I met Chef Joe Howe at Everest. I'm from Monterey, California. And
where'd you meet him?
At the Masters of Food and Wine. It was a wine and food festival. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was just looking
That's where the best travel plans are made. 2 in the morning.
I was looking for another glass of wine, and we just struck up a conversation. And he says, I like you. You have a very good personality, and I hear you're a very good sommelier. And I said, well, I don't know who you're that from. Mm-hmm. Little did I know that Claudine Pepin, Jacques Pepin's daughter, had told him all about me prior to us meeting. Yeah. So he gave me his business card. He said, give me a call Monday morning. I did. I was in Chicago that Friday. I had never gone past the Rockies. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I knew about Chicago is it's cold and the Chicago Bears and the Bulls. And I heard about Charlie Trotters. And so I decided
Those are like 2 out of the 3 basics that people know. Yeah.
So I came out here and I just fell in love with the city right away. And so Joe Howe gave me this opportunity. I was 23 years old to...
How do you decide at 23 your career is going to be in wine?
You just know. It's just this feeling of this is what I was meant to do. And I was born and raised in the restaurant business. My parents are from the Fiji Islands. I'm a child of immigrants. And, we found what work we could find, which was working in restaurants. Mm-hmm. And so Monterey is a very hospitality-driven town. And my dad started as a dishwasher. My mom waited tables. And my brother and I were supposed to become doctors and lawyers. But I just fell in love with restaurants. And to this day, when I walk into a restaurant, it's a place of magic for me. Mm-hmm. It's a place of just endless possibilities where you just suspend reality. And I still feel that way.
Well, when you got to meet with a group sommeliers, did I say it right correctly?
Correct,
okay.
Yes.
Did I put an American spin on that French term? You got to be the only you in that room.
For like
a person from Fiji, immigrant family.
Yeah.
It's got to be dominated male.
It's male dominated. I am still to this day the only South Asian Master Sommelier in the world.
Okay, what's the process you got to get through to get to be a master?
It's
do you have to write a thesis?
There's 4 separate exams. There's an introduction, a certified exam, advanced, and a final level. It takes about 7 to 10 years now to get it. There's only about 240.
Wait a second. You can become a lawyer in 3 years, and it takes 7 to 10 years.
7 to 10 years to become a Master Sommelier now, and there's only 240 in the world. And 146 in the United States. And I'm one of 27 women in the world that are Master Sommelier. And I was the youngest woman to ever pass the exam. I passed when I was 26. And so the exam involves blind tastings.
Did your mother say that you could have been a doctor?
Yes. Yeah, she was like... Actually, when I told
Who knew you had Jewish roots?
When I told my mom that I was going to become a sommelier, she asked me what part of the body does the sommelier specialize in. She thought it was a medical specialty, no joke. Right. But you can understand my parents moved their entire lives here, and your 19-year-old daughter comes to you and says, I'm going to study wine. I mean, she flipped out. She just completely flipped out.
Yeah, we did not sacrifice and struggle for this.
Correct. But it ended up being, so it ended up being okay, I think. Mm-hmm. But
let me ask, is there something past? Is there like a doctorate sommelier, past master sommelier, or is that
No,
it?
that's it.
You kind of hit the wall?
No. I actually have nightmares to this day that I have to go back and get recertified, and I've forgotten everything.
The coolest thing I want to say that I ever saw, I was in Paris, down in a basement, one of these restaurants. It was actually an American chef, and he took a sword to the champagne.
Oh, the sabering. Yes.
Oh.
I don't know how to do that, otherwise I would have done it. Yeah.
And I'm like, you got to be
Yes.
kidding me. And he takes the sword and by angle
Yes. Just
slices
makes it look super easy.
and then you pour. It's like your first thought is, there could be a chip of glass in there. And they've got this thing, and they just cut the cork. They cut half the head of the bottle off, and that's how they have the champagne.
Yeah.
And it is that's better than like, I want something full body, but not really knock me over. But that's about this. That was cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We'll get somebody to do it for you. I can't do it. It's too dangerous, and
Let's
need
get
you.
one of those guys.
We need you. We can't risk losing you.
Are you amazed at what's happened in the last kind of 5 years with restaurants, food, wine, in the sense that whole lifestyle taking off? I mean, used to be, not that hotels aren't that, or vacation spots, but how much has now gone into, TV shows, the most popular. Are you surprised, or did you see it coming?
Here's the thing about food is you can connect. It's edible theater. It's art, and I think that the audience, having a more sort of aware audience, makes our job a little bit more exciting. We can definitely push the boundaries, but I've definitely seen the change in Chicago. I arrived in the city 18 years ago, and Chicago is the top dining destination in the country, according to several sources.
Right.
But what Chicago
Condé
allows,
Nast and Bon Appetit.
correct,
just to name two
Yes.
for listeners. Yeah.
The JBF Awards are here. The Oscars of the food world takes place in Chicago. That says everything. And so, but what Chicago has are neighborhoods. And you have these diverse neighborhoods. Of course, I hosted Check Please for 10 years. And you can go and experience the authenticity of Indian food, but surrounded by an Indian neighborhood and Indian culture and the sights and the sounds and the flavors and the smells. And you can have this complete immersed experience. But what Chicago allows is, the affordability of just setting up a project, like the Parachutes of the world, or like Monteverde, or like Giant, like you can be.
I was just at two great restaurants.
Yes.
I was just at Sky the other night.
Oh, yes.
Down in
It's
Pilsen.
a husband
Yes.
and wife team, correct.
Yeah.
He was only supposed to come to Chicago for like 3 months. Because
Really?
he came to Intro to be the sort of revolving chef, and he was supposed to leave after 3 months, Stephen Galander, I
Right.
think. And, of course, Chicago just sucked him in, because he saw the possibilities.
Kind of like the mob. Once you're in, we don't let you out.
I was only supposed to come for 2 years, and, 3
So, all
restaurants
right,
later.
I'm gonna do a road test here. Ready?
Okay.
I'm having salmon.
Yes.
I'm having a salad. I'm having salmon with spinach. I say to you, I don't know. I want a red wine. I like full body, but I don't like it to knock me over. Walk me through what you do.
Well, I would do Pinot Noir for sure, and I would do Oregon Pinot Noir.
Why Oregon, not
Because it has Oregon is known for their salmon, so if it grows together, it goes together. And so I would.
I got to remember that. Next time when they look at me like I'm a dummy, I'm gonna do. Hey, listen, if it grows together, it goes together.
It goes together,
Yeah,
correct. So
okay.
I would do a delicious,
hold on,
but
let me
more
write that down.
full-bodied
Yeah.
Pinot Noir.
Right, full body. And is there favorites there?
I like Bethel Heights is really quite tasty. I love Bethel Heights, but Soder Vineyards makes it definitely a little bit more of a dense, concentrated style. That's really tasty. Beaufrere, definitely more of a full-bodied, but Bethel Heights I think is. I have it on my wine list, so it's good.
All right, I'm going. I'm a big red wine. Are you like both, or do you?
I do both, yes.
But come on. Do you have a favorite?
I like Riesling.
Really?
Yes, and most of my colleagues, if you ask them what their favorite wine is, they'd say German Riesling in particular, or Alsace. The reason why Riesling is so exciting is it's very difficult to grow. It's actually grown on steep hillsides against a river in the Mosel or different parts of Germany. But it gets really difficult to get those ripe sugar levels, but it's also very high in acid. But I could open a bottle of Riesling that's 30 years old and it would taste just as fresh, like if it was bottled yesterday. And so it lives forever. It's a wine that defies every conventional wisdom. It's constantly surprising. So.
Do you talk about loved ones that way, or is it just the wine? I felt like you were describing. I was just hoping Amy would describe me that way. Oh my God! All right, so we're now down to Mediterranean food. Spicy food.
Spicy food. So
I'm a red. Spicy food. Go.
So okay, so if you want, that's
Again,
a little difficult.
Thing.
Would you drink rosé? Would you drink rosé? Would you drink pink?
No, I would say let's go to another restaurant. I would not.
But rosé's where it's at.
Why?
Just because it has a little bit of fruit. It behaves like a white, but like refreshing. But it's got a little bit more concentration, so it can get to a little more richness to it. But the problem with spicy food is you have to be careful that it doesn't get too high in alcohol. Otherwise, it'll just set your mouth on fire, and we don't want that. So you want something with a little bit more fruitiness to it, just to kind of beat the heat, to kind of like balance.
Okay, wait a second. If it grows
together,
yeah,
it goes together.
And you don't want to just beat the heat.
You want to beat.
Oh, you want to beat.
You want to beat the heat.
Okay. I'm trying to make sure that they don't take me to the cleaners when I do my wine.
No, but you know what? Here's a great little tip for you. So you're at a restaurant. You're holding the wine list. The sommelier is standing right here, and you point like.
I point by price. Okay.
Well, what you do is say, you know what? I've had this one wine before, and I really like it. Right? And you point to the price, but your guests can't see because you're holding the wine list up, and they think you're pointing to the actual wine. But that's a smart way, very quietly, to convey what the price point you want to spend.
Okay, how do you not fall into a rut, meaning, oh, I know these wines, this is what I like. How do you make sure you're always pushing, tasting, going, finding new wine?
Well, it's just sort of like, it's kind of like going to a Chinese restaurant, right? You have your favorite dishes. And your go-to dishes.
It's what Jews do every Sunday night.
Exactly.
I'm glad you picked that.
You have your go-to, your number 13, your number 16, your number 32. But maybe how about try number 17? Just like you can have a couple of your favorites, but always order something that you've never tried before. And you're not always going to like it. It's going to be like, oh, this is horrible, but at least now like, no,
okay,
I don't like
were
this
you
style.
Scared going out on your own and opening the boarding house?
Yes, it's terrifying.
So why did you do it?
Because
why didn't you just go to another restaurant and become?
Because you have that calling. You have that calling inside of you that you have to scratch the itch. It's the call of entrepreneurship, and it's really, and I always say entrepreneurship is born from a place of sadness, because it's sort of like Groundhog Day. You're going to work. You're like, God, this just can't be it. Like, I'm just too young to feel this old, and I just kind of felt like this is not the life I'm supposed to be living. And you want, I don't know, my therapist tells me I'm addicted to drama. And so I just needed to change it up and switch it up. And I
really,
just knew.
because if you spent 5 minutes with you would know that you don't pay somebody to tell you that, do you?
So you're addicted to drama.
Yeah. I would say within 5 minutes we've concluded that. How much does Blue Cross cover that? No.
It does. She does.
Yeah.
Well, my therapist is Jewish. She's a Jewish woman. Okay. Does that count?
Yeah, totally. How do you pay her, by cases of wine? So so you go out, was boarding house, I don't know the history and I apologize. Boarding house before 7-Eleven?
Boarding house before, so that was my first restaurant.
Right,
so
that's
yes,
what I thought.
Yes,
okay.
Correct. That was open 5 years ago.
Right.
And it's multi-level. We've got the big wine glass chandelier in there in the bottle. But the goal for boarding house was to create a wine-centric restaurant and to create a platform for for people who want to learn about wine and launch their career in wine. And so I'm happy to say the original staff that we hired have all gone on to start their own wine programs. So we have a gentleman who's at Booth 1 now. Amy's over at Del Frisco's. Brian's opened a restaurant down in Nashville. We have another one's working at a really high-end restaurant in New York. So people have become certified and are on their path to become master sommeliers themselves. And so that was the goal, and I'm very happy to say we've accomplished it.
Do you feel a responsibility to mentor other women in the business?
Men and women, I do.
But not women particularly, given that you've kind of broken the barrier on 2 levels.
I seek, it's sometimes all it takes is somebody to tap you on the shoulder and to see something in you that you don't see in yourself. And I see myself in people, and I see that sort of like, who me? And I say, why not you? Why not you? And so we try to, especially people, minorities, because wine is not something you associate with minorities. And so it's sort of this thing where like, I don't know, I didn't think I was going to be allowed in the club. I'm like, well, look at me. They let me in. They should let you in. And so I try to take a look at my staff, and I see the passion, I see the interest, and I say, hey, there's an introductory exam coming up. You should take it. In some cases, we'll pay for half of it, but it's really presenting the opportunity and the possibility to people that they sometimes may not see in themselves.
Does the sisterhood, Girl and the Goat, Monteverde, Naha, do you all get together?
We actually are getting together next Monday.
Oh, can I crash it?
Yes, please. We'd love you. We're meeting at Hot Chocolate with Mindy Siegel and Carrie Nahabedian. And then I think Sarah Grunenberg's coming, Christine Chanowski from Honey Butter Fried Chicken. So we're all getting together, and we're just going to chit-chat. Just talk about...
Who originated it? Who started it?
Mindy Siegel actually originated it. Yeah, she goes, ladies, I think we should get together on a regular basis. How about it? And so Beverly Kim's going to be there, and so we're going to start sort of this...
It's kind of my Sarah Lawrence averages, 5 women.
That's right, yes. Women get it done.
I'm so glad you guys are doing that.
And actually, Chicago boasts a very impressive record of female restaurateurs and female chefs.
I know we're hot on restaurants, obviously. I'm proud of the city from the James Beard, and then now the recent recognition by both Bon Appetit and Condé Nast. Very proud of what you all have accomplished in the city. Finally getting more than one person, but the entire city culinary scene
but
being
we have a fabulous track record when it comes to women.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know what a New York, a San Francisco, a Miami, a Nashville, a Denver. How do we...
New York doesn't have Carrie Nahabedian. They don't have, Stephanie Izard. They don't have me. They don't have Beverly Kim.
It doesn't. It doesn't exist. It's a male-dominated scene.
Chicago is we're very well nurtured when it comes to women. Very much so.
That's true in the tech world as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Why do you think that is?
It's because Chicago's a livable city. I think it matters where you can raise a family, you can start a business. There's also an audience for it, and it starts with, the standard of living is so much better than in places like New York and San Francisco. One of the reasons I came to Chicago was because I couldn't afford to live in San Francisco. This is 17 years ago. I would make $40,000 a year, but the rent is $3,500 a month. And I was given this opportunity, and I could afford.
That would be wrong for the chef to also be on food stamps to make the ends meet.
Right. It's I think the quality of life here, and it's even beyond just the restaurant scene. It's a vibrant city.
Right.
Our theater, our arts and culture, and especially our theater scene. And I heard you saw The Light the other day.
I did.
I saw it on Sunday.
Oh, you just went to see it?
I did.
I
loved it.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. And that's
her first, Loy Webb.
Do you know what she does?
No, but she was a lawyer, right? She went to...
She's a lawyer at the police department.
Really?
It's her first play.
Incredible. I actually reached out to her on Instagram and said, I absolutely loved it. You are a rising star.
I'm a big fan of it. It's a great play.
Yes.
And I'm so glad they hung back a couple more weeks. So make sure everybody... I've told hundreds of people.
I've emailed it to so many people. And I think there's an interesting parallel between our theater scene and our restaurant scene. And I think
what is that?
Well, you told me that Chicago is the Silicon Valley of theater, that more original content is created in Chicago than any other city. Right. But that's because we have the sort of the resources to be able to pull stuff off. And you can go see an incredible work of art for $15 here.
So I want to come back because I could go on to theater, and but I want to spend some time in the culinary scene. Give me your night. How do you pick a restaurant, and how do you stay? I'm always trying to. So I have this thing with Amy. Once she doesn't want to go new. Once we go new, she doesn't want to go away from it. She wants to go back to it.
Okay.
So what's your go-to 5 restaurants? Am I allowed?
5 restaurants. Okay.
That can't be yours, even though we're going to do it one more time. Boarding House, 7 Lions. Yes. Boarding House, 7 Lions. If you're listening, you got to go to one of those in the next 5 days. Okay. After that,
the bar at Gibson's. Okay. If you're bringing somebody in for the first time in Chicago, you have to take them into an institution. Okay. And the bar at Gibson's is just Chicago in a nutshell. Just from the cast of characters, the people that come there, but it's a steakhouse. You got to do the Gibson's thing. Mm-hmm. Next thing is, I love Chinatown. So I keep it easy. I keep it simple. I don't get too adventurous, but still very tasty. So I like the Phoenix, because I just think that Chinatown's such a vibrant thing that you can take people to. And I get cravings for Chinese food. So Sundays for Indians, is also Chinese food.
And there's a reason the Jews and the Indians love each other, right? It's a mandatory. Takeout, Chinese. Let's go.
Chinatown, let's go.
Let's go right now.
Everybody,
Get in the car. Hurry up.
Let's see here, and then I really, really like if you're gonna go to like sort of like the like venture out just a little bit, like in like Albany Park, around there, etc. I love Middle Eastern food. So Nuno kebab, like I love, like I crave their hummus.
Yeah.
And the other place that I like is Sultan's Market. And I've been to Israel, and I think their falafel is better than what I had in Israel. So Nuno
Wow.
kebab. Yes, good stuff. And the hummus at Nuno kebab is really quite tasty. So there's that. If I want to make it all sort of kind of fancy and dress up, just a newcomer on the scene is Somerset. And I just love the Boca restaurants because they make you feel fancy.
You did the one in the new hotel? You mean?
No, at the Viceroy in the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful restaurant, and they do such a great job when it comes to just the ambiance and service and decor of their places. 2
to 3 of your favorite bars.
Like I said, I gotta go back to Gibson's. I think
that
they
one.
do a good job.
You get 2 more.
All right, let's see here.
For Miss Wine, what do you?
For bars, I don't really like. Okay, so I gotta think about this one. I mean, I think you have to go down to like
Billy Sunday.
Billy Sunday, yes.
Dude, I love you for that.
The Amaro collection.
Okay.
Have you seen their vintage Amaro collection? Like, where else can you drink Campari from 1967?
Scofflaws is good.
Scofflaw's good. Lost Lake is really quite tasty. Barrel House Flat.
I can't believe I'm forgetting the rooftop of the hotel in Wicker Park.
The Roby House?
Yes, the Roby House. In the summer, I think it has the best view of the city.
Really?
In the summer, get all the way up on the 13th floor, best view of the city.
Wow.
No, because every other time you get kind of the river, the lake, the park. This is a view of the city, west to east. I think it's fabulous.
You bring up an interesting point of, I still haven't been to I still haven't been to Smith & Loyalist yet, and they're doing an incredible job. Atante, and then pop-ups. We haven't even talked about the pop-ups. I just did
That's for the next show.
We just did Conroe, who is the 2-star Michelin 42 grams.
Right.
And so,
is that good?
It was delicious. He's extremely talented.
Okay, I gotta go.
Jake Bicklehope, and I can't wait until he opens his new place.
You know what? One of the things I want to do is create a cocktail mix competition. Where we can, and then figure out a way to do. I don't have the time to do this, obviously, but get somebody to do this, which is. We'll have a competition. Whoever wins, we'll give them $50,000 to starting their own bar, and have a competition for people to start the best cocktails.
Yeah.
And have a. Don't you think that'd be fun?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, like a Star Search, like American Idol.
Yeah, but just here in Chicago.
Yeah.
If you want to come in, you can come in for the weekend.
Yeah.
So tell me this: name a couple. You can do 2 or 5. I don't really. Who are the people up and comers that you say you got to watch these 3 individuals or these 3 folks? These are going to be in a short order. These are going to be the people we're all talking about.
The chef.
Hold on. This goes with if it grows. What is that again?
If it grows together, it goes together.
Yeah.
The chef.
How many times I knew that? I was testing all of you. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know his name, but the chef at the Dearborn.
Okay.
He is extremely talented.
Okay, watch him.
Yes, watch him.
Okay.
The ladies there, the Lawless sisters, have an eye for talent, and I don't know where they found him, but he's an up and coming star.
Okay.
And the food is phenomenal. Cafe Marie.
Up in
Humboldt Park. It's Jean Marie, Cafe Jean Marie. It's in Humboldt Park.
Okay.
And it's a cute little sort of they do French food, like a French bistro, but kind of sort of that. And then another one that sort of flies under the radar, and it shouldn't, is it's a steakhouse. I'll think of it in a second, but he's extremely talented.
Boff House?
Yes, that one. Thank you. See, look at you telling me.
Yeah. The way you kind of put it in your hands, your head, it's not normal. So those are your 3. Keep your eye.
Pretty fabulous.
That used to be a German.
Correct. Yeah, like a butcher place,
right.
And they turned into a restaurant.
That's unbelievable.
I gotta say, we are so lucky to have a mayor that gets food. A lot of cities don't have this. I just want to say that.
Oh, well, thank you.
We are very lucky.
I love eating. No, I do.
We appreciate you for it.
I love eating, and I love to, but this constantly, I want to go out and try something new constantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I have like friends and colleagues that come from all over the country to like Chicago Gourmet, and you're like up in front and center. Like, we wish our mayor was like this. I'm like, I know, we're lucky. Like,
Yeah, you got a mayor's a former ballet dancer striving for it. So all the sisters are getting together, right?
Yes, all the ladies on Monday, the 19th, correct?
I think we may do a show where we bring you all back.
Oh, that would be great, yeah.
The entire sisterhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. No, I want to know. Is the whole Me Too movement shaking up the restaurant scene pretty hard? Like the other, it seems there's a couple places, a couple big guys have appropriately been targeted, but is it a problem in the industry?
Well, it is, because it's such a problem that it's so normalized sometimes, the behavior, that we don't even realize it's a problem. Like, you just sort of become like, oh, wow, you know? And so, I have always counted myself lucky because I've had the benefit of great mentorship. And so, but for, it's just to put it in perspective, why does this behavior continue? Because you don't have a choice. You have to endure it. And that's what makes it so awful, is you just feel like you can't go anywhere. And I think having this sort of like just this brigade of women kind of coming forward and opening their own restaurants and succeeding and supporting, we have like Zoe Shore and Diana Davila with Mitokaya also, on the...
Give me which one?
Diana Davila from Mitokaya.
Is she going to the Monday?
She's going to be there on Monday as well.
I really want to know when. I'm going to just happen to be in the neighborhood and just, oh, who knew? No,
We'd love to.
So I have a theory, just shy of 60% of the commissioners and department heads are women in my administration.
Wow.
And if you put women in power, then men cannot play the power game.
That is correct. Yes. And
they're not that they don't do it down below, but there's a different culture because the power relationship is different.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not a guarantee, but it's not a bad insurance policy, is my view.
Well, it's just women can see a path forward. And so I think the more women that open restaurants and become executive chefs, tells women like, hey, like, I don't have to take this, and you don't deserve my talent. You don't deserve my contribution to this entity, and I'm leaving, and I'm going to go find a place that does deserve me. But they have to know that they have that possibility, that they don't have to put up with it. And I think that the more women that they see, especially in our field, it's like they think perhaps like there's no opportunity for me. There's no other alternative. Like this is as far as I'm going to get, and that's the danger of the glass ceiling. And so it does take having good male partners that say, hey, ladies, come on, there's an opportunity. I'm going to open up the door for you. And then, of course, us opening the doors for others as well.
We have a responsibility.
I take it as a huge responsibility that my success is not just my success, that if I fail, then the entire gender has failed.
Well, that's an immigrant mindset.
Of like, I have to succeed. I have to succeed because if I succeed, then women can do it. If I fail, then women can't do it. This is what happens when you give it to a woman. Like, no, it's like, I take it very personally. My success is their success. And we were having this email exchange back and forth, and that's what Mindy Siegel was like, we all need to get together.
Oh, that's what inspired it? Yeah.
Yes, my success is your success.
Well, I'm definitely dropping in.
Well, make sure you get the, yes.
I'm crashing the party.
There's going to be some good pastries, with Mindy.
So we're going to do a fast round, but let me ask you a question. When you look as a child of an immigrant, and you look at when you were growing up, what did your parents tell you about this country?
Anything's possible. If you work hard, anything is possible.
What did your dad do?
My dad, he's a retired cook now. He was a line cook.
And mom?
And mom still waits tables.
And did aunts and uncles join the family?
So half the family is in the restaurant business, and the other half is just doing other stuff. And so it's just sort of.
Is your brother or sister? I
have a brother, and he works at Hyatt in Monterey, and he's in the restaurant business. So
also,
my immediate family, everybody's in the restaurant.
Everybody's in the restaurant hospitality business.
I was at the Equality Illinois Gala the other day, and you had taken a moment to invite the audience to thank the staff.
The help.
And that really touched me because my uncle is a banquet captain.
These are, well, first of all, I know, so I've been so many times at events there. They know exactly what I'm going to have for breakfast, and they're from Iraq, they're from Syria, they're from Lebanon, they're from, Philippines, I'm leaving they're from Nigeria, they're from Ghana, they're from every part of the world.
Yes.
And they are there carrying, I barely can get 2 dishes to the dishwasher without, cracking something. And they're carrying all this. And we got to remember we're enjoying the evening based on their work.
It's so true. No,
and you got to thank them.
That's my uncle. It's my mom. That's my dad. And, I was just thinking about like what's going on, at this situation. I was born on a tourist visa. My mom came to visit my dad on a tourist visa. I was born, but she had to go back. And if it wasn't, it took her 2 years, to come back. But if the policies were against immigration, I would not be here right now sitting across from you. Mm-hmm. But 540,000 people are employed by the restaurant hospitality sector in the state of Illinois. Yeah. And a good number of those are immigrants. And this is how they pay for their kids' colleges and producing good Americans that contribute to society. And,
man, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Are you ready? So we're going to test how much you really know Chicago.
Okay, let's see.
You ready? Fast round. Lake or river?
Lake.
Cubs or Sox?
Cubs.
Well, it just changed, but Hancock or Sears, but we call it Willis Tower.
Hancock.
Okay. 16-inch or 12-inch
That's
softball.
Softball, right?
Right, yeah.
I guess 16? I don't know.
No, it's clear you're not. No, forget about it.
No idea.
Thick or thin pizza?
Thin. Yes.
I don't think we've not had a single person say thick pizza.
It's just too much cheese. It's too much cheese.
We just got to get somebody who's like 21 and doesn't really care. That's our problem. We're asking the wrong people. Boarding house, semifinalist.
Thank you.
Outstanding
Hopefully we'll see you in
wine.
May.
Wait, it's outstanding wine.
Program. Yeah, the program. Yes. Get with the program, right? Yes.
Okay.
So hopefully I'll see you on the red carpet in May.
Oh, the James Beard's been great for the city.
It has been.
It's Chicago Stories. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for all that you do for the restaurant business, really.
Well, you guys make Chicago a great city.
You're listening to Chicago Stories with Mayor Rahm Emanuel. You can subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts and tweet your guest ideas using #ShyStories. Thanks for listening.